Today we're going to talk about something that's absolutely crucial: how to stop just sending messages and actually start building them. We're going to dive into the architecture behind communication that really truly lands and gets you the results you're after. So let me ask you this. Have you ever spent, hours crafting what you thought was the perfect email or the perfect presentation, only for it to just fall completely flat? You know that feeling, right? You get those blank stares in a meeting, or confusing replies, or maybe even worse, just crickets. It is so frustrating, but hey, it happens to all of us. But what if I told you the problem isn't usually the words you chose? What if it's the lack of a plan, a blueprint behind them? See, the most effective communicators out there, they're not just winging it. They're basically communication architects. They design every single message with a very clear and intentional plan. Okay, so where does any good architect start? You got it, with a rock-solid foundation. And that is our very first step, laying the groundwork for our communication by figuring out our purpose.
Before you even think about writing a single word, you have to ask yourself the most important question of all: why? Why are you even communicating this in the first place? Your purpose is that core why. It's not about what you want to say, it's all about what you need to achieve. Are you just trying to inform somebody? Are you trying to persuade them, or do you need them to make a final call? You gotta know.
And this next part, this is where it gets really powerful. This is how you make your purpose real and tangible. If the purpose is your why, then your desired outcomes are the specific what. What exactly do you want your audience to think or feel or do after they get your message? Do you need them to approve that budget, or maybe adopt a new workflow? Getting super specific here is what makes your goal real and, measurable.
And that leads perfectly into the next piece of our foundation. So once you know your goal, you have to boil everything you want to say down to its absolute essence. Look, nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to remember a 20-point plan. It's just not going to happen. So what are the one, maybe two, or at the absolute most 3 critical things they have to walk away with? These are your key messages. Think of them like the main support beams of your whole communication structure.
Okay, so our foundation is poured and it's solid. Now it's time to pull out the blueprint. Let's get into how to actually craft the message using a really simple but incredibly effective 3-part structure. This framework is just so simple and so good, you can literally use it for almost anything. First, you start with context. You're setting the stage, answering that silent question of why are we even here? Then you deliver your key points, those core messages we just talked about. And you always finish with a clear call to action. That way, your audience is never left scratching their heads thinking, okay, so what do I do now? You tell them exactly what comes next. All right, our structure is built. Now it's time for the finishing touches. These are the little things that can take a pretty good message and make it great, make it truly resonate with people. Let's talk about how to apply that final polish that's going to shape how your audience perceives everything. There are 3 final things that can honestly make or break your entire delivery. First up is timing. Is your audience actually in the right headspace to hear this right now? Second, tone. Come on, we all know that how you say something is just as important as what you say. And third, consistency. Does this new message line up with everything you've said and done in the past? Because that consistency, that's how you build trust over time. So, when we put all these pieces together, you've got the strong foundation of purpose, you've got the clear blueprint for the structure, and you've got that final polish. What's the end game? What's the ultimate goal here? Well, it's to really truly become that communication architect we mentioned right at the beginning. And this is what it's all about. All of this planning, it's to make sure your messages are never just random thoughts. They become purposeful, they're coherent, and most importantly, they are capable of inspiring actual real-world action. You're not just throwing information out there anymore, you're literally designing outcomes. And that pretty much wraps it up. The blueprint is all yours now. So I'm gonna leave you with a question to chew on. Think about your next big meeting, or that important email you have to send. What's one thing you're going to architect differently after today?